We're here today with Wendy Dyson, who's the manager of the Valemount Visitor Center. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So we had the Business After Business, the Chamber of Commerce Business After Business here today, and now we're here at the Valemount Visitor Center and just kind of exploring. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do here?
Okay, basically the Valemount Visitor Center is, we like to be a one-stop shop for travelers, but we have a lot of services for locals as well. So, at the Valemount Visitor Center, people tend to think of information centers as places you go in and pick up a brochure and maybe a map and find out about what's along the route. But here we can book accommodations throughout the province. We sell tickets to activities throughout the province, and actually the tickets we sell are at a cheaper rate for a lot of the lower mainland attractions than you can get at the door. We book local adventure operators, and we have a great selection of merchandise, which is the Supernatural BC merchandise and also some Valemount logo merchandise. So lots here besides information, although we've got lots of that too.
So where would you say most of the tourists are coming from in your experience that are coming through Valemount?
In Valemount, we get a lot of European and Asian tourists, probably a higher percentage than they get province-wide. But we also get a lot of visitors from Alberta. So I'd say, we keep statistics of these things, and our top number would be from Europe, then from Alberta, and then BC.
And what kind of questions, what would typical questions be from somebody from Germany, say, coming to the area for the first time?
Okay, well, a lot of people who come to this area know it's a great area for adventure tourism, so a lot of the questions are about hiking trails in the area, about activities like rafting. Of course, a big question, where can they see wildlife, best wildlife viewing spots. So those are probably the top ones, and we get a lot of questions here about both Mount Robson Park and Wells Grey Park, because those are pretty famous throughout the world.
And so at the beginning you talked about booking accommodation and booking adventure travel and tours for people. Can you talk about how you work with the locals, with Valemount local businesses, with tourists?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, we have a lot of programs that local businesses can be involved in. We have our racking program, so, of course, local businesses can put their brochures in our racks. We have Tourism or Destination BC has an online booking system for accommodations. So any accommodations that are signed up for that booking system, we can go right on the computer and book, both locally and province-wide. And of course, we know the local businesses, so when someone comes in looking for a specific type of accommodation, we know what direction to point them in, and we'll give them the information. In terms of activities, we book for most of the adventure operators in the area, so we have agreements with the rafting company, the helicopter tours, and someone can come in here and walk out with their tickets, so they know when they're doing their activity.
And how long would you say on average a tourist would stay in the area?
It's actually been changing over the years. Valemount used to be a one-night stop, and we still get a lot of one-night visitors, but more and more in recent years we're seeing people who are coming to Valemount and spending a whole week. So, it's kind of changed from everybody being one night to now we get people for 1, 2, 3 nights and up to a week, which is great.
I noticed in the store you had a lot of crafts and art from locals. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's right, yeah. We have a consignment program, so local artisans can bring their work in and we will display it and sell it for them. So we have a really great selection of local goods from, clothing and hats and artwork and jewelry. So lots of locally made stuff, which is nice for the visitors to be able to buy.
What would you say is the most popular item you have here in the center for sale?
Probably the most popular would be, we have a lot of books that are about the natural history and local history and BC in general, and so we sell an awful lot of books and jewelry as well. People like to pick up the jewelry. I think they're both small items that are easy to travel with.
And what's the funniest, most unique item you think you have here?
Oh, well, there's a couple of interesting items. There's some interesting boxer shorts for men that have some cute sayings on them, and there's some interesting soaps that have interesting names, like Moose Spit Soap and that sort of thing. So there's some fun novelty things too.
Well, one of the main purposes you're here for is to dispense information and to help people with their travel and with their plans. How is the staff trained? And I mean, it's a huge area, and there's so many things to see and do, and so many things to know. What's the training process your staff goes through, and how many staff are here at the center?
Okay. The number of staff, varies. This year we've got quite a few part-time staff or staff that are shared between the Mount Robson Visitor Centre and the Valemount Visitor Centre. So I'd say this year we probably have 6 staff at the Valemount Centre and I think 8 at Mount Robson. And the training process, well, first of all, the hiring process, we look for people who have good people skills and also already have a really good knowledge of the local area and the province. And then in order to work in a visitor centre, they need to take a course called Tourism Visitor Information Counselling and also the World Host course. So the Tourism Visitor Information Counselling course we run over 4 days, and that covers everything from reading a map to finding information in the accommodation guide to finding information online, and also some promotional and sales skills to help promote all the local businesses.
What would you say to locals in Valemount who maybe haven't ventured in here yet, or who don't know what might be here for them? What could you say to the locals of Valemount?
Oh, I'd say definitely come in and say hello and come and see what we have here. There's quite a nice selection of merchandise to look through. So if you need to buy gifts locally, we have a lot of locals that come in and buy gifts here. And also if you're planning a trip yourself, come in and find out what we can do for you in terms of booking your accommodation and giving you information for your route. And also, as I said, you can get discounted tickets for other areas of the province. So come and see us and we can help you with your travels and with your shopping.
I understand that you also have information on local hiking trails and conditions and things of that nature, which would probably be very valuable for people going for a day hike or longer.
That's right. We've got, we have the Valemount hiking map here, of course, and we also have, our own resources, which is, detailed hiking descriptions. And we also, our staff actually, one of the perks of working here is that our staff gets a hiking bonus, so they get paid for hiking trails on their days off. So the staff here tend to have a really good knowledge of the local trails because, they love hiking anyway, but then they get encouraged to do it more so that they can give good first-hand information.
What other job in the world do you actually get paid to go hiking?
That's right. I've often had people tell me that my staff should pay me to work here, but I can't convince them that.
Anything else you'd like to add about the Valemount Visitor Center?
Just actually one of the things I was talking to someone about tonight is that having this visitor center and just such a beautiful visitor center really goes a long way to convincing people to stay in Valemount. And when I compare it to when we had the little visitor center, even though we had the same training and the same friendly attitude, people would stop in and they'd say, tell me about Jasper. Where can I stay in Jasper? And now people come in and they might be heading to Jasper, but if they haven't got anything booked in Jasper, after spending some time in the centre, they'll start asking questions about Valemount. So I think having such a big, beautiful centre makes people think, wow, there's something worth seeing in this town, and it convinces them to stay.
So Wendy, you're also the manager of the Mount Robson Information Centre. What are the differences between the Mount Robson Centre and the Valemount Centre?
Okay. The main difference, which wouldn't be really obvious to the traveling public, is that the Valemount Visitor Centre is a community-run visitor centre. It's operated and sponsored by the Village of Valemount, and the British Columbia Visitor Centre at Mount Robson is what we call a provincial centre because it's owned and operated by Destination BC. The provincial visitor centres there's 6 of them throughout the province, and they're at strategic gateways. So the Mount Robson Centre is just the first visitor centre you come to when you come into the province from Alberta. And as a result, people tend to be thinking province-wide when they reach our centre. They come into BC and they start thinking about the ferry they have to catch in the Lower Mainland, or the room they're going to need in Kamloops. So although we get those kind of questions in Valemount as well, we tend to get more of the provincially based questions at Mount Robson. And then of course Mount Robson Visitor Centre being in a provincial park, we get a lot of questions about Mount Robson Park and a lot of questions about other provincial parks throughout the province.
Now, this is a very special year for Mount Robson. Can you tell us what's going on at that park?
It is. It's Mount Robson's 100th anniversary. It's been 100 years since Mount Robson was made a provincial park. And so there's lots of celebrations happening at the park this year. There's going to be interpreter programs, some climbers and world-renowned interpreters are coming in to give presentations. There's a homecoming weekend. The weekend, I think, is the August 24th, where anyone who has ever worked at Mount Robson in any capacity, whether it's for the park or the visitor centre or one of the private businesses there, are invited to come back for the weekend, and there's lots of activities planned for that weekend. So I'm looking forward to that because I'm hoping to see some employees we've had over the past 20 years.
So it sounds like there's lots of things going on that would be of interest to locals. What kind of things specifically would you think locals might be interested in participating in this year in the celebrations?
Oh, I think any of the interpretive programs would be of interest. There's pancake breakfasts happening at different times. We do have a list of activities at the Valemount Visitor Centre that people can pop in and pick up to see what's going on out there. The big event, of course, it's been going on for a couple of years now, but the Mount Robson Marathon is one that quite a few locals take part in, and this would be a really special year to take part in the marathon, being the 100th anniversary.
Anything else you'd like to mention about Mount Robson Park?
Well, just that, again, it's a beautiful spot for locals to come to. There's the viewing deck for Mount Robson, and there's the interpretive displays in the basement at Mount Robson that cover the climbing and human history of the area. So anytime you have visitors, or even you just want an outing for yourself, it's worth coming out to Mount Robson and checking out the visitor center and going for an ice cream cone.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.